we're going to begin by first hearing from Emryn.
Hello, old and new friends of Ashtar Theater and Palestine. I would like to thank you all for being with us on this call. I am Emryn, co-founder of Ashtar Theater, creator of the Gaza Monologues. When we did the Gaza Monologues back in 2010, we thought that that would be the first and last war on our people in Gaza. But alas, it did not work out. Therefore, there was another war, and another, and another, and it continued on and on and on for the last 17 years. At the moment, with all that you have seen in the media and all that you have done in your countries, in your cities, still nothing on the ground is being changed. We, as a small company in Palestine, we're trying to keep the voice of the people of Palestine and of the people of Gaza heard. And therefore, we are calling upon you that these monologues, they do not only go into your hearts and minds, but that these monologues will become a paveway for a real change, a real pressure on your governments to take action that will bring justice and long-lasting solution for a sovereign state for Palestine, that the world will all agree to have and will all recognize the state of Palestine. Because through peace and with peace, we can all live as regular people. Thank you. Thank you for being with us on this call. And we are all together to save our humanity.
Calling Up Justice is producing the Gaza Monologues in the spirit of cross-movement solidarity, ensemble, and abolition. Through cross-movement solidarity, we create a united front. And this isn't just about cross-movement solidarity, because disabled artists and organizers understand that we share the struggles of the Palestinian people. In Gaza, the Israeli bombardment and blockades are creating a mass disabling event, whether it be by forced displacement, surviving continuous air raids, having loved ones and entire families murdered and missing, and so much more. The colossal rates of individual and collective trauma create all types of disabilities, ranging from mobility, psychiatric, sensory, chronic illness, and so much more. Due to the Israeli government's destruction of Gaza, including constant attacks to critical hospitals and medical centers, all disabled people, including those newly disabled who survive, have limited to no access to needed life-saving and life-sustaining care. This is a direct quote from the CRIP call to action. That language I just said to you was written by a disabled Jewish person who is here for the cause. This is only possible because of all of us coming together. Emryn collaborated with Calling Up Justice. Emryn is the executive director of Ashtar Theater in Palestine, Ramallah, Palestine. And they collaborated with us in 2021 for our Black Lives Matter Every 28 Hours Plays project, where we were reflecting on a play that was about Palestinian activists coming to Ferguson to help us fight racial injustice where we are. The Gaza Monologues, they were written by Ashtar youth in 2010. After the first war in the Gaza Strip. Since October 2010, more than 2,000 youth from around the globe in more than 80 cities in 40 countries have presented the monologues that are translated and presented into 18 languages. And we are among many different productions producing this reading on the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people. This is a collaborative performance that is embracing the idea of diversity and ensemble by having multiple people embrace and embody one person. So this is collaborative, and this was also rapid response. This process was about immediate encounter and working within the constraints of capitalism and crip time. So our colleagues had an hour, and they were given the monologues. They were given the monologues in the last hour, and they staged them in real time. We do this in the spirit of abolition. And I'm quoting from Cripping Abolition right now, the Cripping Abolition website. Abolition is not limited to ending spaces and practices of incarceration and policing. Fundamentally, abolition is about reimagining new ways of life, such that a world in which prisons, policing, and other carceral systems as solutions to social problems become unthinkable. Abolition is not just about creating new responses to crises, but creating a new world in which we thrive, such that less crises happen in the first place. What we are doing right now is an exercise in radical empathy, and is an exercise in abolition.
Muhammad Balawat, born 1995, Ashati Camp. I want to write the most beautiful words about Gaza, but I can't. I can't not see the poverty, siege, famine, especially when all of Gaza's cities flooded into Al Arish and emptied all from goods in 2 hours. I can't not see the deprivation in every house, the fear, the sickness. What do you want me to say about Gaza? From when I became aware of it, I was sad about everything inside it, especially the kids, even the adults, youth, women, children, animals, stones, trees, everything in it is crying. I'm looking for nice words to say, but I can't find them. The sea is the only thing that helps me dream. When I stand on the shore, I can imagine Cyprus, travel to Paris, fly to Rome, all while standing in the same spot. I go around the world, and in the end I land in my bed in our house, in the middle of a refugee camp. I go back to the reality of Gaza and the dirty market, overflowing sewage, the carts and what's on top of the carts, the suffocating smell and the silent people who can't speak. When I look at the clock and it's 11:55, I start shaking and my heart beats faster. I feel that the war has started again. Not only the clock scares me, everything that flies, even the flies. I can't tell anyone about my fear so that they don't call me a wimp or a sissy. I'm most scared for my older brothers. When a fly lands on them, on any of them, I feel like it's going to kill them. I start shouting and I run away from the place. That's why I'm now escaping outside the house all the time, because of the many flies.
Mahmoud El-Turk, born 1994, Al-Jalal Street. Before the war, I was a child. But after the war, I discovered I'm not a child anymore, and that Gaza, unlike all the cities of the world, doesn't have children in it. When the war started, I was playing in the neighborhood and I found all the neighbors running away. I asked what's going on. They told me, the Israeli army told the neighbors that they will bomb their house. I went running home to tell my parents. In less than a minute, we ran away from the house. We took nothing except the gas cooker because it's more expensive than gold in Gaza. I felt then that I'd never go back home. We went to my grandfather's house. The next day, the Israeli intelligence called my grandfather's house and told them they would bomb it. We ran out and went to my other grandfather, the father of my mother. There were 5 other families there, all my aunts. My cousins and I became good friends. We'd stay up all night and talk about the war. I was tired and scared, and I wanted to go home and sleep on my bed and pillow. 3 days later, they bombed our neighbor's house. After the bombing, all the inhabitants of the neighborhood returned to their houses. And I went back to my room, but I couldn't sleep anymore. I've been wanting to travel for a long time. I have an uncle in Canada who always sends me videotapes with him of his family in Canada's parks, sea, shops, and in the background of the pictures are Canadian girls. Like I need that. It's like he's taunting me. I started dreaming of Canada day and night. That's why now I like acting. I tell myself, maybe it'll work out and I'll become an actor and travel to Canada and become a Canadian, marry a Canadian and have little Canadian children. What language do they speak in Canada? Never mind, I'll learn Canadian. And anyway, I don't care. They won't know I'm Arab in Canada since I'm so blonde and blue-eyed.
Mahmoud Afana, born 1995, Al Saftawi Street. If you want to call me a coward, do so. Because after the war, I don't answer any kid who swears at me or even hits me. I'm just sad. I leave him and walk away. Before the war, I wasn't like that. The flying bird would avoid me. Why did this happen to me? Because honestly, after I saw so many kids dying in the war, I started to feel that all of us are going to die. It's just a bit delayed. I said to myself, kid, you're a lot bigger than that. I started to feel that I was 100 years old. The war ended on the ground, but it's still there in my head. I want to be like any child in this world, not in the world, at least in Jerusalem. When I chat to my cousins who are living in Jerusalem on the net, I feel that they are living their childhood and they don't think I'm weird. They don't think like me at all. I'm scared to tell them what I'm thinking, so they don't think I'm weird. I pretend to be listening to them and I lie to them. They didn't live what we lived in the war. My family and that of my uncle and grandfather all went to live at my uncle Anand's place because it was far away from the war and it was a safe area, or so we thought. The next day, there was bombing on the street next to my uncle's house, and the wall behind the house collapsed. The third day, my uncle, at whose house we were staying, went to buy faul, beans, and falafel for breakfast. When he returned, he parked the car at the door of his house, and before he went down from the car, a rocket fell on him. The upper half of his body fell on the asphalt, and when the ambulance came, they took out the lower half from the car. The paramedics went and collected the upper half in a plastic bag, and they took him to hospital. Everyone started wailing and screaming, and my mother started asking God to bring him back safe. I don't know. Was she lying to herself or to us? Of course, my uncle didn't come back, and he won't come back safe.
Muhammad Najim, born 1994. Sharik Radwan. For the first time, the streets of Gaza were clean. There wasn't a paper or a cardboard. People were collecting the paper from the streets to use it for baking because the electricity was disconnected. My mom didn't bake and asked me to bring bread from the oven. The queue at the oven stretched from Gaza to the West Bank. People would line up for 8 hours to get their turn and take half a pack of bread.
In seconds, a Palestinian rocket launcher was erected in the area, and in less than 1 second, the Israeli planes started bombing it. People began running in all directions, and the ambulances came. People started falling dead. Others were injured.
I was in shock, and the people in the streets started telling me, "Thank God you're safe." Anyway, I went back home without the loaf of bread. My mom yelled at me, but till today, she doesn't know why I didn't bring back the bread.
We were only able to pull this off in a very quick turnaround, rapid response because our disability theater community said yes right away. Our theater community said yes right away. HowlRound offered support immediately. The Curiosity Paradox signed up immediately. So just thank you. Thank you to Kiana. Thank you to Jacinia. Thank you to One Free Community. Thank you for your work. And thank you so much to Ghostlight Interpreting for offering ASL support. The choices that you just witnessed, those were the choices of the brilliant human beings who volunteered to join us on a moment's notice to stand up for Palestinian lives. Inside the chat on HowlRound are listed all of the other productions that are taking place across the world. So just know that you are aligned and in collaboration with so many people speaking these truths today. I was so incredibly moved by the creative choices that y'all made. And I really feel like this production embodies the elements of disability justice and the idea that we are all one. We're going to be dropping some next steps, action steps into the chat, and we are wishing you the best. Please keep working for justice. Thank you so much for joining us. This will be a recording on HowlRound, so you can share this recording. You can do watch parties in the future. But thank you for joining us on Wednesday, November 29th, 2023, for International Solidarity with Palestinians. I'm going to invite everybody to turn on their cameras for our final moment as we say goodbye to everyone. So if you want to turn on your cameras, go right ahead. I'm so moved. I did not have a chance to drop all of the links of these amazing human beings. Like, you don't even know how amazing these human beings are. You were all so good. And you all didn't see the chat here where we were just enthusing to each other. So many wows. That's beautiful. That's so moving. I was sitting here, y'all, so much tissues. So many tissues. Goodbye. So everybody away.